What's up, guys? Kyle Onstott here with Marketing Empire Group. I got my boy here, Manny with Thread Haus. Manny, thanks for coming in.
What's up, Kyle? Thanks for having me. What's going on?
Not a whole lot of. Thanks for coming down all the way from LA. I know it was a little bit of a drive for you.
A little bit. You know, I like driving 2 hours without traffic.
Yeah.
Because it's 2 hours with traffic, so it's kind of nice to drive 2 hours with no traffic. So
Yeah.
it felt kind of good. A little bit.
It was an equal trade then, huh?
Yeah, it was definitely good. I love the scenery coming out here to Temecula. It's beautiful.
Yeah.
I'm excited to see more of it.
Awesome. Well, we love that you're out here. Love that you came into the office, and we're excited to share with our community and share with our people what you're doing at Thread Haus. So tell me a little bit about you and your story, and then I want to hear more about Thread Haus. How did you get into the fashion industry?
Man, so I actually started, hand painting clothing in my mother's garage on a whim when I was like 21 years old, right? And it was funny because I told a friend of mine, I was like, man, I want to just design my own clothes one day. And I think I might have said that one time when I was in high school. And, I went to the Goodwill and grabbed some old shirts and went and got some puff paint and just started painting on clothing. And that just turned into an opportunity. One of my best friends at that time, he was like, man, I want to help you. So he came over and we did it. And I was like, man, this is actually kind of cool. Wore it out into the streets, and, a lot of people started gravitating to it. And they was like, yo, this is really cool. So that led to some other opportunities later on where I end up, a friend of mine approached me about putting some of my clothing in the store. He had a boutique in North Carolina.
Nice.
And I put my clothes in the store, and I made a couple dollars. I made about $400 in a week off of selling a few T-shirts. And I was like, okay. And yeah.
Dang. And so from that point, your interest just was ignited, is sparked and gone?
I've always been a fashion kid. I've always been about flying. It's always been about style. Fashion's always been a part of my DNA.
Right.
To be honest, my mom had me in fashion shows when I was a kid, and I didn't want to be I didn't want to walk and be the model in the fashion show.
Yeah.
I wanted to be the hustler, so I started selling tickets to fashion shows that people was going to for free. I would literally stand outside and sell people the program for like $1. And since I was a cute kid, people couldn't say no. I would tell them, I would walk them to their chair with the program. It was like a little usher.
Yeah.
And I literally did that for several different fashion shows, and it became a little hobby for me. And my mom was like, how much money did you make today? And I'm like, I was a kid. I was, pretty bright as well, and I talked to everybody, even as a child. So, I would talk myself into a lot of great opportunities, you know what I mean? So, but fashion has always been a part of my DNA. Like I said, me and my friends, we used to, I didn't have a lot of money, so my mom and my father, they would tell me to, you got to get out there and, figure something out. So me and my friends, we would go to a flea market and we would sell mixtapes. And we'll sell mixtapes that we'll make at home ourselves. We'll mix them up, and back in the day when you make your own mixtape,
yeah,
and we'll go in the market and sell it. And then I used to go to my other friends and be like, yo, let me buy this shirt. So that started a whole little business for me. I'll go and buy shirts at the flea market, wear it to school, and people be like, man, that's a dope shirt. I like that shirt. And I'll be like, I got one for sale.
Yeah.
So, I've always just been a man just trying to always create an opportunity for myself.
Oh, that's great. And so you ended up in the fashion industry working you have a few different companies that you've worked for and you have experience with.
Yeah, so fast forward, I moved out here to LA to actually pursue my dream as a fashion designer. And what's really cool was I had an aunt that came and visit me, and she was like, "Yo, I think you really got a talent to be a great designer." And I was like, "All right, cool." And then she was like, "I think you should visit me in LA." And I was like, "All right, cool." She said, "You haven't had any training, all about these textiles and da 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 da." So I end up coming to visit her and end up later on transitioning and moving out here to go to school at FIDM in downtown Los Angeles. And while I was down in LA, I did a lot of internships. So I interned with a company by the name of 5-4 Clothing, which is a company, now they have a brand called Menlo Group. But 5-4 was a really up and coming company in the streetwear and in the streetwear market at that time, I guess you could say. And then I ended up working at BCBG as well, BCB Girls, and then I just interned with a PR company. I interned for a brand called Massive Revolution. I interned for a lot of people, and no one ever really gave me a job. I had to create it. So when I was graduating FIDM, before I graduated FIDM, I did this, created this group with all the different majors called the Showcase Mix, where I brought all the majors from together to go to the trade show and show a collection. And we brought in a sponsor by Goodyear. Goodyear was making some clothing, and they allowed us. One of the students had a relationship, and we ended up getting the licensing to create a clothing line for Goodyear. Nice. So we took it to the actual trade show, and we sold it, and then we ended up winning a Best Booth Award. So I came back to school like, hey, and I was able to do something for my classmates. It was really cool. So I just created opportunity out of that. That's awesome. So like I said, no one really gave me a job. I had to kind of create it.
That's fantastic, though, because it kind of molded you into the man that you are today, right? And ultimately put you in a position where now you're creating additional opportunities out of just your own insight, your own knowledge, your own experience, right? And it's put you in the position to start what we know as Thread Haus now.
Yeah.
So how did that come about?
It's funny because I would say no one gave me a job in fashion, but my actual background that I've had for now probably over about 20 years worth of experience is working in mental health. So I work in the mental health space for over 20 years. Wow, that came up really quick. But yeah, I've been in that space, man, for a while, and that allowed me to really express my passion I have for people. And coming up in that particular world, man, working in mental health and in the psychology of understanding people's way of thinking and the way of just learning certain things. For me, it's interesting that it kind of transpired into this place in fashion. And what's led me to where I am now, I can't not give that credit to the mental health world, because it allowed me to really merge my passion for people and also my creativity, and my passion for fashion has always been there, but really getting an understanding of some of the ills that some of the people are challenged with in life, all the different mental health disorders that we're faced with, and just seeing that I had a passion for that, which a lot of people don't. A lot of people say, oh yeah, that's really nice work. Yeah, but till you do it, until you work into a psychiatric ward, until you walk into a group home with youth, and until you're in these different environments and space, it's a different feeling versus saying that's really good work to actually doing the work.
Yeah, I could only imagine, bro.
But I knew something was there for me because of my cool, calm, collected demeanor that I kind of carry has always allowed me to be able to get past a lot of those issues and also be present for a lot of people in that world.
Right.
So
that's awesome.
Yeah, so
that's huge. I mean, mental health, especially right now, people aren't talking about it enough, but that's a conversation we need to have, over the last 2 years with COVID and people being isolated and families, distancing, families, splitting up and just all of that. Like, those are conversations that we really need to continue to have in our own homes, in our friends' homes, in our workplaces, on podcasts, and just everywhere around the world, because mental health is the most important thing, you know? It's critical.
It's very critical, and even this year I found myself very challenged in my own personal mental health, and thank God that I had certain outlets that I've had, and and a lot of prayer and meditation as well. And every day it's a struggle too, especially being a business owner and trying to figure it out. And like I said, no one's giving me a job. I have to create a lot of the opportunities that I have.
Yeah.
And one of my first businesses that I created, I would say, coming out of school, was one called the Gents Closet. And the Gents Closet was a full-on wardrobe rental service. And what we did was we worked with different fashion brands and different bloggers or influencers now, to allow them to rent or highlight different clothing. Right? And so cool. I found myself, over the course of time of creating this business, I found myself having the opportunity to dress and work with a lot of celebrities and work with a lot of great stylists and a lot of great people. But one of the things that I found was a really common challenge for people was the fact that, the issue of mental health. The issues of mental illness. And I saw that the Gents Closet was not just a place where people would come and get fly, but people could come and be themselves. People could come and actually sit down and tell me what really was going on with them, like how they really was feeling. Like they didn't have to dress the part yet. We would get you dressed, but I just had a way of just kind of talking to people and getting people to be a little bit more real. And I'm like, wow, this is definitely, which at the time I really didn't realize, but I'm like, wow, this is definitely something more special than the platform was fashion, right? Yeah. But really, it was really giving people an opportunity to decompress a lot. It's like a therapy session with Manny J. But, it cultivated some really great relationships with people, but also gave people a lot of opportunity to express themselves about some of the things that they might have been challenged with in life or that they were dealing with. And I started to see that the commonality that we all was dealing with was the support of our mental health.
Yeah, 100%. And I would say that's probably common ground for most men out there, is having that support, like you discussed, having those outlets that you can go to, having people you can communicate with, being able to go to prayer, being able to meditate, and really just like give up your worries and your concerns, and like when you have faith and you can just give up your worries and concerns to God, like what more do you want in life, to be able to be in like the most stressful, like the biggest hardship, trials and tribulations that you've gone through like over any time, and just be able to say, you know what, I got faith that God's gonna see me.
He's gonna push me through it.
He's gonna push me
I think
through
it. To be honest, Kyle, man, it takes a level of vulnerability with self, and I think that's a never-ending journey. Like we're always striving to find ourselves, but in order to do that, we have to have a vulnerability that sometimes is even hard for us to have, even with ourselves. And I think that's where faith lies for me in a lot of ways, is because being able to be vulnerable with yourself is being able to say, I don't have it all together.
Yeah.
I don't know the answer. I don't know how I'm going to figure it out. I don't know how I'm going to pay this bill, right? I don't know how this is going to happen. I don't know how this Thread Haus thing is going to turn in. I don't know what this is going to look like.
Yep.
I don't know why this business shut down. But with that vulnerability and that faith, to me, is saying, I trust that God has a plan. And if I could say anything, I can say that I trust that God always has a plan. Right?
Amen.
And it's important that you allow people to hear that. Right. It's important that you allow people to understand that. A lot of times people say, well, how did that happen? I don't know how that shit happened. I don't know how I end up at this place here. I know that God had a plan for me to get to that point, and he had a plan for me to do this, and I did that. I followed up and I followed through. And I think 90% of it is showing up with having an idea in mind, but not always having an idea of how.
Right. Yeah, and that's the best part is you don't have to know the how. As long as you're there and you're willing, God will show you the rest. Right? He'll show you the how.
He will show you how.
And at the end of the day, I look at it, and I've been able to have the faith that I have had, it's the same thing, how am I going to cover these payroll expenses? How are we going to bring on these next clients? How am I going to get through this hardship? How am I going to work through COVID? All of these things that we go through, not as just business owners, but even as business owners, we're taking care of other people's families sometimes,
Exactly.
Like that's important. And so this is a ripple effect that rolls down, and at the end of the day, like, it all starts with mental health, right? Having a good headspace and being able to have a good support group, whether it's through the church or it's through your business and it's your coworkers or it's just friends that you play some ball with on the courts. Like, whatever it is, you need a support group. You need some boys or some women that you can hang out with, that you can have as your outlet to be able to communicate and share your stories and talk, whether it's faith-based or whether it's business-based or whether it's just your personal life and things that are going on at home. You got to get it out. Get it off your shoulders, get it out of your mind, get it off your chest, and
it's important, man. You need humans. We as humans need humans. We all need connection, and that's what in my journey I've been blessed to have a consistent group of people around me that can give me genuine connection. A lot of times I want it to be more. But when I look at hindsight, I'm always given what I need, and I'm always placed around the people. And even when it's not the people that I feel like are my tribe or my closest or whatever, it might be somebody that's just connected with me that day. It might be someone that decided to call me that day, and they calling me about business, right? But we're talking about something that resonates with something either they're going through or something I'm going through or something we're both going through. And I think that understanding human connection is very important for us all in really dealing with our own mental space. And we can be each other's solutions in a lot of ways. And we have to be willing to, first of all, like I said before, be vulnerable with yourself. And then you'll be led to the people that you can be vulnerable with.
That's right.
And some of us are able to be vulnerable with more people than others are. And that's okay too, because we all have a level of privacy, we all have a level of intimacy, and that's cool. But the thing that's really dope is that we all have a purpose, we all have a gift, and we all have a mission. No matter what it is and where you're at, and no matter how whether you're your lawyer, whether you're the marketing, whether you're singing, whether you're rapping, whether you're you the guy that's shoveling the gravel, whether you're the janitor, those are jobs. But those jobs don't necessarily mean those are missions. But those jobs put you in a position to fulfill a mission.
They're tools.
They're tools. And when you understand that, it makes it a lot easier to navigate through life.
That's right, 100%. Because it's all seasons, right? And people, like, when you look at life, most of the times you're not looking at, I'm just going through a season. You're looking like, I'm in the dark right now. I'm living in the fire. Like, what's going on? Everything's burning around me.
Is anybody else in this mother with me?
Yeah, exactly. But at the end of the day, I mean, you can't look at it like that. You have to look at it from a 30,000-foot view, from a bird's eye view, right? And say, okay, look, this is just a season. I've gone through this. I've been through that, but it's taken me here,
It's
right?
taking me here.
And you always have to have, like you said, a mission, a vision, a purpose. You have to know the direction that you're going, and you have to show up. You can't just say, hey, you know, God's gonna take care of me, and then just stay in bed that day, right?
Wishing, hopeful wishing. I tell people that all the time. Be like, man, like, stop wishing for something to happen. Go out and figure out how to make. I don't know how it's gonna happen. I don't know how to tell you how it's gonna happen. I know the first thing I'm gonna tell you to do is go and do something though.
Take action.
Go and take action on it.
That's awesome. Well, cool, man. I want to learn more about Thread Haus. So you got a lot going on with this. You're working into the Web3 space, the crypto and NFT, and getting your company on the blockchain, and a lot of really exciting stuff.
Thank you.
And obviously you're wearing some of your designs today, which
Flex always got to flex a little Thread Haus.
Yeah.
So yeah, man. So fast forward to what we was talking about, connecting with people. So my whole thing with working with people has actually led me to where we are currently with Thread Haus. Thread Haus started off as kind of like as an in-house brand for the gents closet, right? Like I started off in fashion. You know, first started hand painting, and then I got into making bow ties and neckties and accessories, and a lot of other cool stuff later came on along with that. Did a lot of product development, right? So I got a lot of great skills in fashion over the course of all of these years, and so led me to now where we are with Thread Haus, where I want to bring all of that into one space. So Thread Haus is like our own brand, right? In-house brand now, and so. Working with Thread Haus started off in a way of creating something that was about innovation and community. That was I would say those were my first core points in DNA for the brand: community and innovation. Now I tell people our brand has 5 pillars. Our brand has still community, it's still innovation, it's still creativity, sustainability, and education. And when I look at the overall DNA of who I am, that's all about who I am. That is the DNA of the brand, and that has allowed us to be able to tap into humans, into people's mental health space. It's allowed us to tap into artists and people's creativity. It's allowed us to tap into now technology and Web3 to be more innovative. It's allowed us to build out more community, right? And now be able to practice sustainable solutions, right? So our whole overall ecosystem that we've been creating with Thread Haus is really, those 5 pillars is what we're all about and what we've been tapping into simultaneously throughout this journey, right?
Yeah.
So like I was just saying, it's all about trusting that process and that journey, right? So all of this is led up to where we are now. So to bring it full circle, Thread Haus, I started off this brand kind of like making these really cool caps, right? The one I'm wearing now called our crew cap. It's our signature cap. And I made these caps. At the time, I didn't have the idea that this was sustainable, but I was making these caps based off of an idea that I had of creating an alternative to a beanie, because I went to a party and it was like 90 degrees outside and I saw everybody wearing a wool beanie, and I just was like, there gotta be a better solution. And so I made this hat just by cutting up some old clothes that I had in my closet and figuring out the pattern, how I wanted it to look and everything. And then we got an opportunity to do some trade shows in Vegas, which was one of the first trade shows was Liberty. And people really liked the hat. And that was about 4.5 years ago. And it just kind of started growing its own legs. And the next thing you know, fast forward, I'm a part of a nonprofit by the name of Holt Healing that we started based around mental health and in the kids and youth with chronic illnesses. We provide wardrobe makeovers for them. So we was doing this quarterly, And it came down to a time when we was also partnering up with Children's Hospital, and we do these quarterly big events where we get celebrities and stylists and celebrity stylists and makeup artists, and we do all this cool stuff for the youth. And it came down to a time where we needed to do some fundraising for it, and I said, well, you know what, let me leverage Thread Haus. So I came up with this campaign called 100 Caps, where I would make 100 caps in like 90 days or 100 days or something like that, and each one of them will be one of one, and each of them will be sold for a pretty expensive price, and this will help us fundraise. And so we did that, and that caught whim of an attention of some other bigger brands. Like a friend of mine was working at Champion, and that caught whim of them, and then we got a chance to do Complex Con, which is like a big convention out in Long Beach. That's really dope streetwear convention, and it just started growing from there. Yeah. So we created this just as an idea to raise money, but then people really started liking these hats, and we got a chance to collaborate with this brand over here and do these cool things. And then the pandemic happened. Then we got shut down, and I said, okay, been the person I am, I'm more solution oriented than problem oriented. Like, the problems is gonna be there. It's always gonna be a problem. What's the solution? So when the pandemic happened, I couldn't go to any factories and get anything made. So I decided to go and buy sewing machines from the factories that was closing and rent them to people in the community to help make fabric masks to match our hats. Okay. So we didn't have any fabric. We couldn't go fabric shopping or anything like that. So we started cutting up clothes. We had a storage unit full of clothing from Hope Healing that we could no longer use. So I cut those clothes up and made hats from that. Okay. And masks as well. And rented out a few sewing machines to people as well. So I was very solution oriented during that time, and then that sparked something amazing.
All right. So you made the pivot necessary in your business, right? And
always made the pivot. Always made the pivot.
Yeah. I mean, a lot of businesses didn't. They went under. They weren't able to make that pivot during COVID and those transitions. And as businesses and the whole, really the economy, the world economy was shut down, there were innovators like yourself making these pivots within their business so that they can sustain their livelihood, right? Yeah, and continue to provide jobs for other families and so on. And so
I just love what I do, and I love it to the point that I always want to figure out how I can do it.
Yeah, that's great.
Like, that's right? It. Yeah, it's just real true passion, man. Like, anybody that tell you that's met me, like, at the end of the day, you gotta see the passion in me, because like I do. I love what I'm building. I love what I'm doing, to the point that I always want to figure out, how can I do it more? How can I scale it? How can I make it better? How can I improve? What can I do? How can I impact other people's lives? How can I make other people's lives better through what I'm doing? Like, I just love it to that point. And sometimes I feel like I love it to a detriment.
Like, do I love this thing too much?
Yeah, do I love it too much, man? But what I will say is, I love it enough to allow me to keep me moving forward.
That's great. And that's what you need, right? At the end of the day. And they say that, we all know that saying, right? Do something you love, you'll never work a day in your life. And as cliche as it is, it's true at the end of the day. Yeah. Like, when you're passionate about what you do, and I'm passionate about what I do too, right? Like, this is fun to me. That like, I'm working right now. This is part of my job and part of my responsibilities. And this is fun because I get to help businesses grow. I get to showcase businesses, and ultimately provide the value that the small businesses and medium-sized businesses need.
Exactly.
And so you're just doing it in your lane. I'm doing it in my lane, and we're individually passionate about that. But that's what brings and drives success. True success and lasting success is passion. Because if I wasn't passionate about this, and if you weren't passionate about what you're doing, this is going to be a a day in and a day out, and this business is gone, right?
Yeah.
But that's not the case, because you have so much passion, and you're right. I can see it. My whole team saw it when we met you the first time. We met you at the NFT Expo verse.
Shout out to Go Verse for bringing us on.
Yeah, amen to that. So that's where this relationship was founded, and you met the whole team, and we were able to see your booth, your setup, all your clothes, which was awesome, your NFT wearables, which were rad.
Dope, thank you.
And that's...
And shout out to you too, Kyle, because Kyle, you're definitely a passion. Look, let me tell you, Kyle had it set up like, he came the first day I met Kyle, and he gives me his business card. We talked for a little while. The next day, somebody else comes in, which was JJ. Kyle had someone come new to the booth every day for 3 days or 4 days, however long we was there. Every day we met somebody different at the booth that was representing MEG. And I first of all, everybody had a consistent message. No one was really trying to sell me anything. Everybody was genuinely talking to me. And then when they, everybody had the shirt on, so I was like, wait a minute, you from Meg? I call him Meg. I was like, you from Meg? And they was like, yeah. I was like, I talked to somebody yesterday. I talked to Kyle. I talked to this person. But before I know it, I had met a good portion of your team, and I had cultivated a great conversation and relationship with each other, and everything. And then just kind of meeting everybody all together in the space on the last day was really phenomenal, because then I got a chance to meet Barbie, which is like the lady in the group, right? And it was just really, really dope to really see your passion and putting your passion into your people, because there was a reflection of you, and that was really, really important. And I think that's very strong in building community, right? It's where people can speak about you when you're not there. Right. If you're a good business person, you're a good leader, your team should be able to speak about you when you're not around. And I really admire that quality that you have instilled into your team, and you walk with as well. So shout out to the Marketing Empire group.
Yeah, heck yeah. Hey man, I got an awesome team. Shout out to them for sure. They're what drives this ship, they're my everydays, my all days, they're my all stars, and ultimately we're just one big happy team that has a vision. We're all pushing and rowing in the same direction.
Nice.
We know what our mission is, we know our vision, we know that we want to change the space, we want to change businesses, we want to give back to our communities, and we want to start investing more, not just in the businesses. We want to invest in people just like you. And so that's how we do it. We do it like this, by getting a message out. Like this, we have a media company, and it's powerful. We could get a message out, just like CNN, NBC, all these companies, they can get a message out. Well, so can we, right? And with a big enough ad spend, we can get it out as far as we want.
Exactly. And the one thing that's really dope about everything that you said, and also let me give a shout out to my team as well, because I feel like I have a really solid community. Not a huge team yet. We're working on it, but we do have a solid community, and our community has definitely showed up for us. But one of the things that I like what you said is the organicness of it, right? Because when you do something organic, it can grow on its own. And when you allow things to kind of grow on its own, it can spread like wildfires, like what you experiencing out here, right? It can be like the spot fires, right? The most dangerous ones is the spot fires, like you said. But you put a fire over here, put another fire over there. Before you know, you got all these little fires going around, and this is your community, and they're connecting. And they get together, and now boom, there's everybody's have a similar message and everything like that. So I really appreciate that organic thing that you all are building, and the platform that you're allowing individuals like myself and Thread Haus to come on and kind of speak about what we got going on as well. I appreciate that.
Yeah, absolutely. Thanks for coming down. Thanks for being on. If anybody that's watching this wants to check out Manny's NFT Wearables, they're sweet. go to his website.
Yep, threadhaus.la, HAUS.LA. Yep, definitely. And you know what, Kyle, I didn't talk about this yet. I'll share this before we go. We actually just won an award this past week as well for our circular program that we're creating, our R3 initiative, right? Recycle, repurpose, reprogram. We won what they called the Green Arrow Award. We was presented
Nice.
by California Product Stewardship Council,
Okay.
and we was presented at the largest zero waste convention here in California.
Nice.
Yeah.
Congrats. That's awesome.
So the message is getting out there what Thread Haus is doing in this community, what we want to do in the world, and the goal is for us to bring able bodies, people that's willing and want to come on board and help us continue to do this thing, so we can make some really great impacts in the world and in people's lives, and with a really solid message.
That's what it's all about, right? Is just bringing the community together and working together as a community.
Exactly, exactly, and that spreads so many different ways too, like so many different ways. So yeah.
Yeah.
Definitely.
Well, I'm hoping our followers will go like your stuff. Where can they find you? Can they reach out to you outside of your website?
So on social media we're at Thread Haus Co. That's on Instagram, Twitter, also Facebook as well. I need some Facebook friends, so y'all definitely find me on Facebook.
Give them a follow.
Yeah, follow us there and engage with us. Let us know that you
Yes.
heard this. Let us know that you see us out in the community. Just engage with us, man. We really love it. We're real people doing real work. And then if you want to just personally tap in with me, if you're a business owner out there and you want to learn a little bit more about what we're doing, you want to collaborate with us. If you want to donate to our program or any kind of way, you can tap in with me on LinkedIn as well. My name is, I think, Manny Jackson on LinkedIn, or Manuel Jackson on LinkedIn as well. And yeah, Thread Haus is Thread Haus, HAUS, as you can see it on the screen. .LA is our website, threadhaus.la.
Awesome. Well, Manny, we really appreciate you coming on. We're looking forward to seeing your business grow, continuing to see more sustainability through your business.
Thank you.
And these styles, man. I mean, I'm just excited to see what you roll in here next wearing.
Thank you. Yo, it's funny story, man. So this shirt right here, just real quick, I just recently made this, right? So I took a t-shirt and a button-up shirt, and I made this shirt. And what's really phenomenal about this idea of sustainable fashion, man, is, especially with my crazy ass mind, sky's the limit on what you can really create, right? So this shirt now has like this like cool little like almost like vest type of feature, and literally it's two shirts kind of mixed up, but these are two shirts that I didn't want to throw away, but this one was faded to the utmost, and this t-shirt was just stretched out of beyond shape, and I wanted to bring it to life in some kind of way. And this is where, where we can be solution oriented around the textile waste problem that we having in the world. It's not a problem that we're just having here in California or just in America. This is a global problem that we're having here in the world, and we're actually a part of a film called The Upcyclers. It's a documentary that we'll put together. We just won an award at the La Jolla Film Festival, so we'll be doing a lot of fundraising for that, so we can continue to submit into other film festivals and also provide a platform for other upcyclers around the world to come along and that help be a part of this same message and everything of how we can really bring a solution to textile waste.
Fantastic. I love the mission, love the vision, love what you're doing, love the community that you're building, and we're excited just to see it continue to grow.
Dope.
So make sure you give them a follow, guys. Manny, thanks for coming on
Thank
the
you so
Build Your
much.
Empire podcast, and we'll have you on again here in the next year or so we can get some updates.
Definitely looking forward to that.
All right. Thanks, guys, for tuning in to the Build Your Empire podcast. Send us a DM, like, comment, and share this. Make sure to support our boy Manny so that he can continue to grow his community, his team, his business, and support his family. Thanks, guys, for tuning in. Have a great day.